morning. Jesus said, "The kingdom of heaven is like a mustard seed." To me, this is confusing. And how can we have an entire kingdom be like a mustard seed? It's so small. Maybe it makes more sense if I kind of relate the kingdom of heaven to what God plants inside of us. One day, 5-year-old Sharon was visiting her grandmother. During her visit, her grandmother gave her a cucumber inside a bottle. Sharon was fascinated by it and said, "Grandma, how does it get inside the bottle with the tiny hole?" Grandma told her that if she told her the secret right away, it would spoil the bigger secret that she wanted to tell her later. So she asked her granddaughter to think about it for a while, and she said, "I am sure you will discover the answer, and when you do, I will tell you an even bigger secret." About a week after Sharon had been there, she was there again at Grandma's, picking flowers in the garden. And suddenly she spotted a bottle into which her grandmother had inserted a little vine with a tiny cucumber on it. Now she knew. She knew how her grandmother did it. She inserted it into the bottle when it was little and let it grow there. She hurried to her grandmother and, dancing up and down, so excited, she said, "Grandmother, now I know the little secret. Tell me the big one. I can hardly wait." Her grandmother began. "The secret is this. A good habit that you form now is like putting a tiny cucumber in a bottle. Slowly, it grows bigger and bigger inside of you, so that when you're older, nobody can take it from you. And so the secret is this, Sharon. If you want to be happy later on, start putting good habits inside of you now." Okay, so you say, how does this relate to the mustard seed? In today's gospel, Jesus tells us a secret not unlike Sharon's grandmother told her. God has planted the tiny mustard seed of God's kingdom inside each one of us. There is a sprouting and growing without our being aware of it. Our job is to nourish it with prayer and good works until it grows so big that nobody can take it from us. Not the misfortunes that we may come across, not persecutions, and not even death. Here it's important to note that the growth of God's kingdom within each of us is a slow, gradual process. Just as it takes time for the tiny cucumber to grow into a large one in a bottle, so it is with the kingdom of God. This is why there is still evil inside our hearts and especially inside our world. The seed of God's kingdom has been planted. It's growing, but it has not yet reached its fullness. This is why we still pray in the Lord's Prayer, "Thy kingdom come." While the kingdom of God continues to grow and mature, the kingdom of Satan continues to do battle with the kingdom of God within us. It fights back and forth. That's why we need to continue to grow that mustard seed within us. This brings us to the second important point about the kingdom of God. Unlike the visible plant that emerges from the tiny mustard seed for all of us to see, the kingdom of God is invisible. We can't see it. It's spiritual. And Jesus said, "The kingdom of God does not come in such a way as to be seen." No one can say, "Look, here it is," or, "Oh, there it is over there by the piano." No. This leads us to the role of the church. Jesus instituted the church to serve twofold purposes. First, it serves as the seed from which the kingdom of God emerges. Second, it's the visible sign of God's kingdom in our world. The church, like Jesus himself, has a twofold dimension, a divine dimension and a human dimension. The divine dimension is invisible. It's none other than Christ himself, who is the head and life of the church. The human dimension, on the other side, is visible. It's the members of the church. It's you and it's me. And by our witness and worship, we, the members of Christ's body, make it visibly present and active in our world. We show the world what God's kingdom is through our actions. The human dimension of the church is like everything human. It is flawed. This includes not only its membership, but also its leadership, its bishops, priests, and even deacons. Because it is flawed, it does not always show forth the face of Christ to our world as it should. It, too, is vulnerable to sin and still struggling to be what God called it to be. As a result of the church in its pilgrimage on earth will always be a mixture of light and darkness. There will always be enough light for those who sincerely want to see and enough darkness for those whose disposition is otherwise. This is how it should be. The light should never overpower us. It should only invite us. And to put it another way, when it comes to the presence of the church, it will never shine forth so clearly as to leave us without questions. Nor will it be concealed so completely as it misled the sincere searcher. It will always leave open both possibilities. It becomes our choice as to where we go. And this is how it should be. Jesus respects our human freedom. He will not force us to follow him, but he will always be there for us and waiting for us. God's kingdom probably is a little different for all of us, at least how we approach and spend time within the kingdom of God and with him. For me, the kingdom of God is essential. It's of great importance and affects my life daily. If I'm not connected, I find it very difficult to function, and it's easy to fall into the modern lifestyle of seeking more material goods. I have a pretty set routine from the time I get up, and that includes prayer before I actually start my other planned activities, including meetings and clients. At times I feel pressured to get out of the door, but I remember that I need to begin my activities with morning prayer. Our home is very active with all Mary and I are involved with. And at times phone calls come in to interrupt. But I find that I can make the decision to let the caller leave a message unless the call is an emergency that needs to be addressed right away. If that is the case, I can handle that emergency and quickly return to the focus on the kingdom of God before proceeding with all the other areas of my life, knowing that God is with me and I will do better with him in my side. I have kept in mind that I need to seek the kingdom of God, and that it's not going to come to me without me putting forth effort. The kingdom of God is my making sacrifices. It produces in me peace and joy that only is given by our great God. He alone fulfills me. What are you willing to do to allow the mustard seed that God implanted within you to grow and mature? God bless you all.